You won't believe what this day had in store for Keanu Reeves and his beloved dog. No one expected that in such an ordinary place, there would be a dramatic encounter capable of touching even the most hardened heart. Before we dive into this story, my friends, I gently and sincerely ask you to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share in the comments what you think about this situation. Your support helps us create and share stories that bring faith in simple human values, kindness, compassion, and the belief in something better. In a spacious, huge parking area next to a large shopping center, the atmosphere was noisy and bustling. People hurried to their cars, laden with purchases, glancing around nervously to make sure they hadn't forgotten anything. Among the rows of vehicles, you could spot teenagers on skateboards, tourists with suitcases, and delivery riders on motorcycles. The air smelled of exhaust fumes mixed with the aroma of fast food from nearby stalls. At first glance, it didn't seem like anything remarkable could happen here. But parked rather inconspicuously was Keanu Reeves's modest black motorcycle. He was trying not to draw attention to himself, wearing a simple white t-shirt, dark jeans, and a light leather jacket with no flashy logos. His expression was calm, with a slight smile, and right next to him, on a short leash, was his dog Lucky. The small brownish dog had slightly sad eyes but appeared well cared for and friendly. Keanu had come here to help an acquaintance, a staff member at the shopping center who needed some discreet assistance. Despite his busy schedule, the actor liked moments like these, blending into a crowd of strangers, quietly observing everyday life just like any ordinary citizen. But deep down, he always worried about Lucky, a dog he had rescued. Keanu had taken Lucky in after finding him injured and starving, naming him Lucky, in the hope that, from then on, life would be kinder to the little pup. At that very moment, while Keanu casually crouched by his motorcycle to check its fastenings, Lucky tugged the leash and let out a small bark. Standing in the shadow of one of the concrete pillars was a huge biker in a black leather jacket studded with metal. A bright club patch adorned his back, and his gaze projected both arrogance and hostility, as if he were angry at the entire world and ready to pounce on anyone who crossed his path. No one yet realized that this meeting would ignite a tense conflict, where arrogance, cruelty, and simple human kindness would collide in a single place to reveal each participant's true nature. At first, Keanu paid little attention to the rough-looking biker. After all, plenty of people wear leather jackets and heavy boots. Besides, Keanu himself had occasionally participated in biker charity rides, so the man's appearance didn't intimidate him. But Lucky sensed the man's threatening energy and pulled on the leash, giving a quiet bark. Keanu looked up and noticed the contemptuous sneer the biker was directing at Lucky. The dog barked a bit louder, which made the biker's face twist in irritation as he muttered something insulting. The atmosphere turned more tense. Passers-by noticed from the corner of their eyes but hesitated to intervene. "Hey, pal," the biker growled, seemingly addressing the dog rather than Keanu. "Why'd you drag that mutt over here?" Keanu offered a slight smile, trying to de-escalate the situation. "He doesn't bite, he's just a bit nervous. Sorry if he startled you." Instead of backing off, the biker shot him a nasty look, as if he wanted to test the dog. Maybe he was fed up with the world or looking for a target to unleash his anger. Suddenly, he made a quick, brutal move toward Lucky. Sensing danger, Keanu pulled the leash, but it was too late. With a forceful kick of his heavy boot, the biker struck the dog, sending Lucky whimpering and scrambling aside. It happened so fast that Keanu only managed to stand and rush toward his pet. "That's what you get," the biker sneered. "Take your mutt somewhere else, buddy." Keanu's heart sank. He scooped up Lucky, feeling the dog trembling and breathing heavily. Bystanders seemed shocked, a few lifted their phones to film, while others hastily walked away, not wanting to get involved. Keanu looked at Lucky, eyes filled with both pain and determination. He had no intention of letting aggression fuel the situation, but he couldn't stand by and allow harm to come to his defenseless companion. As Keanu examined Lucky, a memory flashed of the day he'd first found the little dog. It had been a rainy dawn. Exhausted from traveling and media events, Keanu had spotted a tiny bundle of fur trembling in an alley, clearly injured and starving. He simply couldn't walk away. He carried the pup in his arms, took him to a vet, and nursed him back to health, naming him Lucky, in hopes that the dog's future would be brighter. From that moment on, they were practically inseparable. Keanu often said that Lucky deepened his appreciation for quiet loyalty and a bond that needed no words. Seeing Lucky hurt now because of someone's cruelty reawakened that old protective instinct, but Keanu kept his outward composure. By this time, a small crowd was gathering, some people whispering, "Isn't that the actor?" But not everyone recognized him right away, because of his simple clothes and his reluctance to broadcast who he was. The biker, seeing that Keanu still hadn't lashed out, frowned. Maybe he'd expected a fight, only to find someone refusing to respond to violence with more violence. This enraged him further. Stepping closer, he spat, "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Want me to hit you, too? Or is your buddy not worth defending?" Keanu quietly took a breath and calmly but firmly replied, "Why do that? He hasn't done anything to you." "Because I can," snarled the biker, glaring at the dog. "I've seen guys like you before. Look at you, acting all high and mighty. It's pathetic." A passerby couldn't hold back. "Hey, please stop. The dog might be seriously hurt. Why are you doing this?" The biker just scoffed. "Who are you to tell me anything?" Keanu sensed the fury building inside him, but he knew better than to fight anger with more anger. His only goal was to protect Lucky, who couldn't defend himself. Keanu picked Lucky up, stood, and faced the biker. In a calm voice, he said, "Let's settle this peacefully. If you're angry at something in your life, please don't take it out on a living creature." The biker's expression twisted. "You're gonna teach me how to live my life? Who do you think you are?" By this time, onlookers were starting to piece things together. Some recognized Keanu. "That's Keanu Reeves, right?" whispered a young man to his companion. But the biker, seeing only a guy in a simple outfit holding a dog, figured he could intimidate him with brute force. "Listen, genius," he taunted, "take a hike before I really lose my temper. Maybe I'll just..." He let the threat hang in the air as he gestured at the dog. Keanu felt a rush of frustration inside, but understood that succumbing to rage would make things worse. He recalled many past incidents where his own emotions had almost derailed everything. Now, maturity guided him. If violence was inevitable, he'd defend himself, but it was far better to try talking first. Yet the tension was close to boiling over. Lucky, trembling in Keanu's arms, had begun to recover slightly from the shock. Sensing the biker's hostility, Keanu signaled to a passerby for help, but most people were too frightened to get involved. A memory surfaced in Keanu's mind. Once, during filming in another city, he'd seen a man shove a homeless street performer. Keanu had intervened, purchased all the musician's CDs, and asked him to play a tune, allowing everyone around to hear. The aggressor was shamed not through violence, but through compassion. Ever since, Keanu believed a kind word could sometimes stop madness, though he also knew life doesn't always work that way. He now looked into the biker's eyes and sensed something wounded behind the tough exterior. Perhaps the man had endured hardships. Often, cruelty masks deeper pain. But the biker's pride wouldn't let compassion crack that armor. "Listen," Keanu began quietly. "I get that life can be tough. But the dog is innocent. Why pick on him to prove something?" The biker scoffed, "Stop prying into my life, you philosopher. You might have money and fame, but all I have is my freedom. I do whatever I want." Keanu furrowed his brow but continued in the same measured tone, "Freedom means making choices, and we're responsible for them. You chose cruelty just now. But it's not too late to stop." "Stop?" the biker roared. I don't care about any of this. With that, he shoved Keanu's shoulder, trying to knock Lucky out of his arms. Keanu stumbled back but kept his balance. Alarmed voices rose, "Someone call security. Call the police." Yet the biker seemed convinced he could do as he pleased until the cops arrived. Keanu, hugging Lucky protectively, tried once more to reason with him, fully aware that the next few moments would decide if this ended peacefully or turned into violence. Some might have called Keanu overly soft, but he believed a physical fight wouldn't solve the issue, just add more cruelty. And Lucky was in his arms, needing protection above all else. Keanu looked the biker straight in the eye. "Maybe we can talk. I'd genuinely like to understand what's going on with you." The biker erupted in harsh laughter. "Talk? About what? You want to give me some sermon? I'm not in church, buddy. No sermon. I just want to know why you'd harm an animal. What did the dog do to you?" The biker glanced away, as if thinking. Finally, he eyed the onlookers. A few recognized Keanu by then, but the biker pretended not to care. "It's just a mutt," he said with a bitter grin. "I wanted to see how loud it would yelp. And your reaction? That's the best part." At that moment, someone in the crowd spoke up. "Hey, do you even know who you're talking to? That's Keanu Reeves." A flicker of recognition flashed across the biker's face, but he quickly hid it behind a sneer. "Keanu, you say? So what? He's an actor, not a superhero. I'm not impressed. I'd rather watch him on TV than deal with him here." A few people in the crowd muttered that he really was famous for his kindness. But the biker only shrugged. Possibly he did recognize Keanu, but he had no intention of appearing intimidated. Seeing that nothing was calming down, Keanu gently passed Lucky to a young bystander who cautiously stepped forward to help. "Hold him carefully, friend, so he doesn't run off or get scared," Keanu said softly. Now, facing the biker without the dog, he made it clear he wanted to resolve this one way or another. "Well, hero," the biker taunted, noticing Keanu had taken a more resolute stance, "you think just because you're some star, you can teach me how to live?" Keanu's eyes stayed calm. "Not at all. I'm just asking you not to hurt people or animals. Teaching you is the last thing I want to do." The crowd was growing, many filming on their phones. Some shouted support, "Keanu, we're with you." Others directed their pleas at the biker, "Dude, stop it. What's your problem? Your mutt nearly broke its leg," the biker said with a mocking grin. "Maybe now you'll cry about how this big bad wolf hurt you and your precious dog." Keanu closed his eyes briefly, sensing the deliberate provocation. Just then, a woman called from somewhere behind the crowd, "Shouldn't we call the police?" Heads turned toward an elderly lady holding a shopping cart. Sensing that Keanu was trying to talk things out, she found her courage. "Young man," she addressed the biker, "you don't want legal trouble, do you? This man isn't here to harm you. Why not just walk away?" He snapped back, "Mind your own business. I do what I want." From a distance came the sound of a siren, faint but growing closer. The crowd stirred, some wanted to see the aggressor punished, while others just wished the confrontation would end. Keanu glanced at the young man holding Lucky. The dog was frightened but didn't appear gravely hurt. The priority now was to avoid further risk to Lucky or anyone else. Still, the biker, hearing the sirens, seemed even more agitated. He stormed closer to Keanu and hissed, "You'll pay for this." Locking eyes with the man, Keanu realized, for someone who felt cornered, the law might not matter. He wasn't about to flee, though. He'd never abandon Lucky or let the onlookers face this aggression alone. Time felt frozen as everyone waited for the drama to reach its peak. Keanu tried again, speaking to the biker's conscience, "Look, your anger won't make you freer. Freedom is the ability to choose not to use violence. I don't want to fight you. How about we both go our separate ways? I'll take my dog to the vet, and you can just leave." But his words fueled the biker's rage further. You think I'm gonna leave and pretend nothing happened? If you're worried about your precious image, look around, everyone already saw me kick your dog. Keanu glanced at the people filming. It doesn't matter how we look to them. What really matters is what's inside us. Wow, how profound, the biker sneered. You think if I stop messing with your mutt, people will call me a good guy? I don't care what they say. By now, the sirens were louder, police were only a minute away. The tension thickened, and Keanu worried that the biker might lash out again. He watched the young man who was cradling Lucky. The little dog was still trembling, but it seemed the injuries weren't catastrophic, more of a fright and a bruise. Then, as if triggered by the sirens, the biker lunged forward a few steps and hissed, "You're gonna get it." Keanu realized that if reason didn't prevail, the biker might escalate. But Keanu stood his ground, not leaving Lucky or the bystanders at risk. Memories of life's many challenges flooded Keanu's mind. He knew one wrong move could escalate things beyond control. If he fought back, it could turn uglier. But simply letting the biker hurt him or Lucky again wasn't an option. He paused, letting the silence stretch before finally speaking, "Since neither of us likes this situation, let's see if you can do anything other than resort to violence." Everyone here saw what happened. But each of us has both good and bad inside. The biker hesitated for a second. Then he snarled, "Shut up. You think I believe all this high and mighty talk? You know nothing about me." Keanu nodded. "You're right, I don't know your life story. But I see you're angry, and I'm trying to understand. That doesn't excuse what you did, but I'm willing to listen, without mockery or fighting." The biker stared at him, clearly confused by this unexpected response. It was as if he had expected a brawl, not someone calmly attempting to reason with him. And perhaps he felt uneasy that so many phones were recording. People murmured, some urging, "Stop it already," or "Leave the dog alone." The biker's gaze darted around, then back to Keanu. "So you want me to confess everything here in front of everyone? To you, like you're some saint?" "I don't need you to confess," Keanu said gently. "I need you to realize the dog isn't to blame for whatever problems you have. Neither are these people." The biker started to retort when the screech of tires cut through the air. A police car entered the parking area, officers quickly stepping out, guided by the crowd's gestures. Their eyes locked on the biker and Keanu. The officers began asking questions. What happened? Who was injured? Was the dog hurt? People clamored to report, "He kicked the dog. He threatened Keanu Reeves. We saw it all." The officers nodded, urging everyone to stay calm and requesting statements from those involved. Despite the crowd's pressure, Keanu tried to avoid intensifying the situation. "Officers, please just make sure my dog is okay. I don't want to press charges if..." He turned to the biker, "if he agrees not to bother us anymore and pays for the vet if needed." One of the officers, a tall man with a weary gaze, said sternly, "If the animal or its owner is injured, you can face legal consequences. You can settle this peacefully, but if he files a complaint, the case moves forward." A tense silence followed. Some bystanders muttered, "He deserves jail. He's horrible." But Keanu still believed the man could reflect and change course. "Sir," the officer asked Keanu, "do you want to file a report?" Keanu glanced at Lucky in the arms of the kind young man. The dog was still shaking, but physically seemed not too badly hurt. Lawsuits and trials can be long and draining, and he preferred a peaceful end, as long as it prevented future harm. "I will file a report," he said firmly, "if he refuses to apologize and pay for the vet's exam. A dog isn't a toy. Its health could be seriously affected." The biker's eyes darted anxiously. On the one hand, he was furious at being cornered. On the other, he didn't want hefty fines or charges for animal cruelty. "Fine. Whatever, I won't give you a dime," he spat. The officer looked at him grimly. If the dog or its owner is harmed, you could be arrested. This is your chance to handle it civilly. Realizing the trouble he was in, the biker let out a loud sigh. All right, fine. Damn it. He glanced away. I'm sorry, okay? The dog, people, all of it. The officers exchanged a look but allowed him to continue. He shifted awkwardly, mumbling, how much is a vet bill? I don't know. Fine, I'll pay if it gets you off my back. Relief washed over those present. It might not have been a heartfelt apology, but at least the immediate threat had passed. An officer took the biker's information, noting that he would cover the vet cost and formally apologize. This time it's just a warning, the officer said, but if the owner wants to press charges, it goes to court. Keanu nodded. For now, an apology and a promise not to repeat this is enough. I don't want revenge, I just want others to be safe. The biker's eyes still burned with anger, but he realized arguing further was pointless. He might not have fully grasped how despicable his act was, yet Lucky was no longer in jeopardy. After the police moved the biker aside to finalize paperwork, Keanu gently took Lucky back from the young man, thanking him for his help. The dog clung to his owner, still shaking but clearly relieved. Most of the crowd dispersed. A few stepped up to Keanu, saying quietly, "Thank you." It's not every day you see someone keep such a cool head in a situation like that. He responded with a modest smile. Sometimes kindness is the only thing that can quell a surge of aggression. Soon, once the officers were done, the biker, seeing that few people remained, awkwardly muttered another apology. Shame burned in his face, though it was probably more about being exposed than genuine remorse. Keanu simply nodded. I hope, he said quietly, next time you'll think before hurting anyone again. Let this be your lesson. The biker sneered, saying nothing. Moments later, the police let him go after taking his information and scheduling a vet appointment for payment. Keanu stroked Lucky's ears, relieved that he had prevented a worse outcome. He felt certain that even a rough man like that might one day realize the error of such cruelty. He then headed to a veterinarian to make sure Lucky was okay. Within a few hours, Keanu learned the dog had only minor bruises and would recover with a couple of days of rest. Hearing this, Keanu breathed a sigh of relief. Gently patting Lucky's fur, he smiled as the dog gave him an affectionate lick on the cheek, as if to say, "Thanks for not leaving me." Softly, Keanu responded, "You'll never be alone, buddy." And let everyone know a small act of kindness, or simply refusing to be cruel, can change someone's entire fate. The moral of this story is simple. Sometimes in life we encounter people who harbor anger or aggression, but calm words and compassion can be far more powerful than fists. It's crucial to remember we're responsible for those weaker than us, whether they're animals or individuals in vulnerable situations. One person's actions might not change the whole world overnight, but they can spark kindness in others. Dear viewers, thank you so much for sticking with us through this touching story.